My name is Mrs. Comer, and I am the art teacher at Christenberry Elementary. And today we're going to be making art based on the art form of weaving. Can you say weaving? Yes. Now we're going to do this in kind of a different way. I know if you happen to know about weavings, you might think to yourself, well, I don't have a lot of materials to make a weaving. I don't have a loom or I don't have a lot of yarn, but we're not going to be using any of that stuff really to make our weavings today. We are going to be making weavings from things that we find in nature. Now we will be making a loom, say loom, and we'll be talking about things in weaving called warp and weft. Those are two very important parts of weaving, say warp and say weft. And we'll get started talking about what kind of art we're making today. So what is weaving? Weaving is a type of art that you create with materials like yarn, cotton, string, any kind of fibers like that. But you can also make weavings from other things like recyclables, even glass. There's an artist I'll show you today that weaves with glass. It's all pretty incredible. Today we're going to be weaving from things from nature, so blades of grass, flowers, sticks, leaves, things like that. Now let's talk about the two words I said earlier, warp and weft. Warp is the string that you see that goes up and down and up and down. It's vertical. Weft is what you see going left to right, and it goes over and under the warp. Now, the warp is the string that we are going to actually be attaching to a loom. Loom is a very important part of weaving, and we have a couple of ways that we can do that today, all from things that you can find either in your yard or in your house. So I wanted to start by talking about some artists who weave, and these are contemporary and folk artists that I'll be showing you today. This artist's name is Mark Luwansky, and he is from here in the United States. He is from Michigan. Do you remember me telling you that you can actually weave with glass? Well, that's what you're looking at right here. Mark has somehow figured out how to take glass and melt it down and find a way to weave with it. And if you remember me talking about warp and weft and vertical and horizontal parts of the loom and going over and under and over and under, if you look really closely at Mark's artwork here, you can see that the colorful glass that he's woven with does go over and under and over and under. Some of them are going up and down, and some of them are going left to right. So now I'm going to show you a different type of weaving from a different artist. This last weaving art that I wanted to show you today is actually folk art from the country of the Philippines. And that is a country in Southeastern Asia. It's made up of thousands of islands. And what we're looking at here is that we have these reeds which are found in nature in the Philippines. And they're dried out and they're cut thin. And you can see what we've been talking about this whole time. You can see reeds that are going up and down vertically. You can see reeds that are going left to right horizontally, going over and under and over and under. What this artist is making here would either be a basket or a piece of furniture. Weaving with natural fibers like this is very, very common in the Philippines and in other countries throughout the world. So now let's switch over and start talking about what we can make today in our homes. So again, let's go over our materials that we need for our art very quickly. You'll need a piece of cardboard or other strong piece of recycling that you can use scissors on safely to make a loom, like we saw in the pictures recently. Or you can use sticks from outside to make a loom. You're going to need string, yarn, or twine for the up and down warp. And you'll need items from nature for the weft, like leaves, blades of grass, twigs, or small sticks, or even flowers. Some optional items that you could use for this project. If you're looking around your house and you cannot find any twine or string or yarn, you could actually go find some old plastic grocery bags, take some scissors, cut the bags up into strips and tie them together and use that as your warp. It's a very easy, very cheap way to do that. Another optional item that you could use today is tape. You may want to use tape to help secure your string onto your loom when you're making your warp, or if you're using those plastic grocery bags, you may want to tape the bits together so that it makes one long piece. It's totally up to you because you're the artist and it is your choice. All right, artists, so I went looking around my house and something I found in my recycling bin was an old box that had juice packs in it. So what I'm gonna do is take some scissors and I'm going to very, very carefully just cut a rectangle out of one of the larger sides of my box. When you're doing this, of course, please be very, very careful. If you feel like you grabbed a piece of recycling that is too thick for you to cut safely, you need to ask someone that is older or an adult to help you out, or maybe just go find a different piece of recycling. So here I go. So here I have my rectangle cut out of my cardboard. I'm going to turn it vertically. That's going to help me with my weaving the way I want to do it. And what I need to do now is actually make little cuts along the top and the bottom of my cardboard. That way when I take my string or my plastic grocery bags, I can hook them into the little cuts, and I'll show you what that looks like very quickly. So the important thing to remember here is that when you're cutting, you don't have to do a whole lot of cuts. I think I might just do 5 on the top and then also 5 on the bottom. The number on the top and the bottom should be the same, and you want to try to space them equally apart. So let me show you what that looks like here. It's also pretty important that you don't want to cut too far in. I don't know if you can really tell, but this is probably a 1/2 inch into my board. If it helps you, just make little marks with pencil or a pen first. I've been practicing those, so I feel pretty confident in my cutting skills. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cuts. If you've done weaving before, or if your loom is larger, you can make more cuts than that. Again, you're the artist. You know it's your choice. But I'm just making 1 in the middle and then 2 on each side of that. And just like this is where I'm gonna have my warp run up and down. Now, I do have yarn at my house, but I thought it would be fun to kind of show you what it would be like to use plastic bags to make my warp, because there might be a lot of people out there today that don't have string at their house, and I wanted to show you what that would look like. So here I go. All right, artists, so I know that was kind of fast, but what I did was I took that plastic bag and I cut it into strips, and I happen to have tape here, so I just taped the pieces together like this. And it's made a pretty long piece of plastic bag string for me that I can use to hook into my loom. If I want, I can actually twist my plastic bag like this to make a very thin piece of string, or if I don't want to spend the time twisting it, I could just leave it regular. Now, with string or with this plastic bag string that I've made, the first step to stringing your loom is just hooking it on the first little slot on the left. So if you happen to have tape, you are welcome, of course, to kind of secure that on the back. Just helps it stay in place. But if you don't have tape, it'll still work. Now I'm gonna go from the top to the bottom, and then from the top hook it in to the bottom. I twist it a little bit here. Again, from the top to the bottom, from the top. Ooh, there we go. I want to twist this piece. Make it a little thinner to the bottom. And then my last one from the top to the bottom. Now, bonus points, if you remember, was this the warp or was it the weft? The up and down strings. Is that the warp or the weft? If you said warp, you got it right. So I'm going to take a piece of tape and just secure that to the back. So here's my loom. It almost looks like a crazy guitar. I took my 5 cuts. I have my plastic going up and down again. You didn't have to use plastic bags. You could have twine or string or yarn or really anything that you wanted to use for your warp. Now the next part is kind of the easiest and fun part. We get to go on a scavenger hunt for things outside like leaves, sticks, long blades of grass, flowers. And what we're going to be doing is hooking them into our warp, going under one and over another, under one, over another, and then under. And then the next time we would go over, under, like this. That part, in my opinion, is the easiest part. So let's go find some fun things to use from nature. All right, so I just spent literally maybe 1 or 2 minutes just gathering things from outside. And I found some sticks, some tree bark, really long blades of grass. We need to cut our grass. And then it stormed recently, so there were a lot of pieces of tree and sticks and limbs that had fallen down, so I grabbed those too. So what I'm gonna do is just start getting small pieces. I can use my scissors to trim some of my grass blades. They are that long. And what I'm gonna do now is start inserting it into my loom using that over, under pattern. So this would be the weft. So under, over, under, over, under. And what you can do is either push it all the way to the bottom or all the way to the top, whatever you like to do. I'm gonna do mine this way. So if I started with under, I'm gonna switch my pattern to over for the next time. So over, under, over, under, over. I press it down. I can check to make sure I did it right. If I know that these are in different positions on each piece of warp, I have done it correctly. So now I'm gonna start switching up what this looks like. I'm gonna use this piece of bark. If I did over, my next pattern should start with under. So under, over, under, over, under. And then I'm gonna pull it through and push it down like this. I'm going to show you another one with maybe just a leaf. Here we go. If I started with under on my last time, what should my pattern start with this time? Over. So I'm going to go over the warp and then under the warp and then over and then under and then over again, and I push it down. So the fun thing about this project, guys, is that you could make your loom a million different ways with sticks, string, cardboard, recyclables, grass, flowers. I mean, there's so much that you can do to make this project. You could do different versions of it over and over and over again. I hope that it's been a little challenging for you. I hope that you've had a lot of fun. And I think that it's important to remember that with weaving, if I make a mistake with my patterns of over and under, or if I make a mistake with my warp when I'm putting my warp on, it's really not a big deal because you can always just take it out and try again. So anyway, I hope that you've had a lot of fun weaving. This is not a project that you could probably finish in these 15 minutes, but I hope that you spend some time at home doing different kinds of weavings, practicing, making different kinds of really neat creations at your house. I've had a lot of fun doing art with you today. I'm going to work on finishing my loom here at my house, and until next time, I hope you have a really, really good day today and have fun making art and being active. I'll see you next time.